Have you ever felt the quiet tension of a relationship beginning to unravel? It's subtle at first, like the distant rumble of a storm gathering strength. You may not notice the signs. A dismissive tone, an unspoken slight, or the unwavering certainty that one partner's perspective is the axis around which everything must revolve. And then, before you know it, you're caught in the tempest, questioning how it all began. This is the drama of arrogance in relationships, a force so insidious that it blinds us to the storms it creates. How often have we believed, perhaps subconsciously, that our way was the right way, only to find that pride has built a wall instead of a bridge? It's a universal story, played out in countless homes and hearts. But here's the good news. Every storm is an opportunity. What if the very thing threatening to tear us apart could also bring us closer together? The answer lies in Stoicism, a philosophy not about suppressing emotion but mastering it. Stoicism offers the tools to weather the tempests of human interaction with clarity, strength, and humility. In this journey, you'll uncover the hidden dynamics of arrogance, the cost of unchecked pride, and the transformative power of introspection and action. Stay with me. As we explore this path, you'll gain not just insights but actionable steps to navigate through emotional storms, turning them into opportunities for growth and connection. Together, we'll examine the roots of arrogance, the cracks it causes, and the Stoic principles that can help you rebuild stronger. Ready to step into the calm after the storm? Let's begin. 1. Anchoring in high seas. Facing the tempest of arrogance. Picture this. A ship caught in a storm, its sails whipped by relentless winds, the waves threatening to swallow it whole. In many ways, this is the state of a relationship marred by arrogance. One partner's pride acts as the storm, destabilizing the bond, while the other struggles to keep the ship afloat. But here's the crucial question. When faced with such chaos, how do you respond? Do you let the ship drift aimlessly, or do you anchor yourself and adjust the sails with intention? Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control external events, we can control our perceptions and actions. In relationships, this means accepting that you cannot change your partner's behavior, but you can choose how you respond. Imagine each act of patience, each moment of understanding, as a link in a chain that anchors your ship amidst the storm. Are you adding strength to that chain, or are you letting the tempest pull you apart? Arrogance is not always loud or overt. Sometimes it's the quiet dismissal of partners' feelings, the unspoken assumption that your way is the only way. Left unchecked, this arrogance becomes a gale force, eroding trust and connection. But Stoicism offers a lifeline, the practice of self-awareness. By turning inward and examining your own reactions, you can begin to dismantle the walls pride has built. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you felt the sting of your partner's arrogance? How did you respond? Did you react with anger, or did you pause and choose a response rooted in wisdom? It's not easy, but this is the essence of anchoring yourself in the storm. As Epictetus reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let's be honest, navigating a relationship plagued by arrogance is hard work. It requires more than just patience, it demands courage and clarity. But here's the reward. Every storm you endure strengthens the foundation of your partnership. The cracks caused by arrogance can be repaired, but only if both partners commit to the process. Are you ready to take that first step? Close your eyes and imagine the storm passing. The waves calm, the winds quiet, and the ship steadies. What remains is a partnership tested by adversity, but stronger for it. This is the power of Stoicism, not to avoid the storm, but to face it with grace and emerge resilient. Now say this aloud. I am the master of my ship. Write it down. Make it your mantra. Each time you're faced with the winds of arrogance, let these words remind you of your strength. And when you've steadied your ship, don't keep this lesson to yourself. Share it with others navigating their own storms. Comment below. I anchor myself with strength and wisdom. The storm is not the end of the journey, it's the beginning of transformation. Let's weather it together. 2. Clearing the air after the storm. When the storm finally subsides, what remains? The air is heavy with the aftermath, the landscape littered with the debris of misunderstandings and wounded pride. Yet, amidst this chaos lies an opportunity, a chance to rebuild something stronger than before. But how do we begin this process? How do we clear the air and confront the wreckage that arrogance has left behind? Consider this. Storms in relationships, like those in nature, serve a purpose. They reveal the weak spots, the cracks in the foundation, and the structures that were not built to last. This is not a sign of failure, but a call to action. The question is not, why did this happen? But what can we learn, and how can we grow? Clearing the air after the storm requires courage and honesty. It's about stepping into the discomfort of open dialogue and addressing the grievances that may have been ignored for too long. But how often do we avoid these conversations, fearing the vulnerability they demand? Stoicism reminds us that the path to strength often leads through discomfort. Can you embrace the momentary unease to create lasting clarity? Imagine a garden after a violent storm. The soil has been churned, the branches broken, and the ground littered with fallen leaves. At first glance, it looks like devastation. But if you look closer, you'll see that the soil is now richer, more fertile, ready to nurture new growth. Relationships are no different. After a storm of arrogance, there is potential for renewal, but only if you're willing to clear away the debris. Let's be practical. Clearing the air starts with 3 steps. Listen, acknowledge, and affirm. First, listen, not just to reply, but to understand. Ask your partner questions, not out of defense, but out of curiosity. What were they feeling? What did they need that went unmet? Next, acknowledge your own role. This is not about blame, but accountability. Can you set aside your pride long enough to admit where you might have gone wrong? Finally, affirm your commitment to growth. Say it aloud. I choose connection over ego. But what if your partner resists? What if their pride remains unyielding? This is where Stoicism's core principle of control comes into play. Remember, you cannot control their response, but you can control your own. Show up with patience and consistency, and trust that the seeds you plant will eventually take root. Seneca once said, "No tree becomes rooted and sturdy unless many a wind assails it." This isn't just a metaphor, it's a reminder that strength is born of challenge. Each storm you weather in your relationship offers an opportunity to deepen your connection and fortify your bond. Are you willing to do the work? Can you look beyond the wreckage and see the potential that lies beneath? As you clear the air, it's essential to keep one thing in mind. This process is ongoing. Just as a garden requires regular tending, relationships demand consistent care. Address the small issues before they accumulate into another storm. Show kindness in the little moments. Express gratitude for the small gestures. These acts may seem insignificant, but they're the roots of a resilient partnership. Now, take a deep breath. Picture the storm clouds lifting, the sunlight breaking through, and the air feeling crisp and renewed. This is what awaits you on the other side of the storm. But you must take the first step. Ask yourself, what conversation have I been avoiding? What truth do I need to face? The answers to these questions are your roadmap to clarity. Let's make a pact. Write in the comments. Number 1. Let that be your commitment to clearing the air in your own relationships. And if this resonates with you, if you feel the call to rebuild and grow, give this video a like. Your engagement helps us continue to share these transformative lessons with others. Finally, don't let this be the last step on your journey. Subscribe to the channel and join a community of people striving to navigate the storms of life with stoicism and wisdom. Together, we'll not only weather the challenges, but thrive in their wake. The air is clear. The path is open. Now it's time to move forward. Are you ready? Let's continue. 3. Lighting lamps in the fog. Finding clarity through empathy. Picture yourself in a dense, silent fog. The air is cold and heavy. Every direction looks the same, and the path ahead is invisible. This is the state of a relationship clouded by arrogance. When one or both partners let pride lead the way, it's like trying to navigate in complete obscurity, no clear destination, no shared understanding. Yet in the darkest fog, even the smallest light becomes a beacon of hope. The question is, how do we light those lamps when arrogance has dimmed them? Arrogance in relationships acts like a thick mist. It distorts reality, making simple disagreements feel like insurmountable obstacles. It creates emotional distance, leaving both partners unsure of where they stand. Have you ever found yourself wondering if the person you care about truly understands you? Or worse, have you felt yourself giving up on trying to understand them? That's the power of arrogance. It blinds us to each other's humanity. But here's the truth. Arrogance doesn't have to define the relationship. With the right tools, the fog can lift. Stoicism offers us those tools, reminding us that clarity starts from within. Instead of focusing on what you can't control, your partner's actions, their words, their pride, focus on what you can control. Your ability to respond with empathy and patience. Empathy is the match that lights the first lamp. But empathy isn't about agreeing with your partner or excusing their arrogance. It's about seeing past the ego-driven fog to the vulnerable person underneath. Ask yourself, what might be driving their pride? Could it be fear, insecurity, a lack of emotional tools? Instead of reacting to their arrogance with frustration or defensiveness, try responding with curiosity. What can you learn about their deeper needs and fears? It's not easy. In fact, it's one of the most challenging things to do in the heat of conflict. But consider this. By responding to pride with humility, you disarm it. Imagine the fog beginning to dissipate as the light of your understanding grows brighter. This isn't just about helping your partner. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of reacting with anger or resentment. But what if the arrogance persists? What if the fog refuses to lift? This is where Stoicism truly shines. Marcus Aurelius teaches us, you always have the power to have no opinion about a thing and not let it upset your state of mind. In a relationship, this doesn't mean ignoring your partner's behavior or dismissing your feelings. It means choosing not to let their pride control your peace. Instead of being consumed by the fog, focus on keeping your own light steady. Now let's get practical. How do you light these lamps in your relationship? Start with small, consistent actions. Begin by truly listening, not to respond, but to understand. When your partner speaks, resist the urge to interrupt or defend yourself. Instead, reflect on what they're saying. What emotions are behind their words? What unmet needs might be fueling their frustration? This simple act of listening can be transformative, turning misunderstandings into moments of connection. Next, practice gratitude. Even in the midst of a foggy relationship, there are always moments worth appreciating. Maybe it's a shared laugh, a small gesture of kindness, or even the fact that you're both still trying. Expressing gratitude both silently to yourself and openly to your partner acts as a powerful light in the dark. It reminds both of you of the good that still exists, even when pride threatens to overshadow it. Another way to light lamps is through vulnerability. This might seem counterintuitive. Why show vulnerability to someone who seems consumed by arrogance? But vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It's a demonstration of strength. By sharing your fears, your hopes, and your intentions honestly, you invite your partner to do the same. It's like striking a match in the fog, each spark illuminating the way forward. But vulnerability needs boundaries. Stoicism teaches us to remain anchored in our own values and principles. Being vulnerable doesn't mean letting arrogance go unchecked or allowing yourself to be disrespected. Instead, it's about opening up while maintaining your dignity and self-respect. Ask yourself, how can I express my feelings in a way that is honest yet kind? How can I hold space for my partner's emotions without losing sight of my own? One of the most powerful metaphors in Stoicism is the idea of the inner citadel, a fortress within each of us that remains unshaken by external storms. When the fog of arrogance surrounds you, retreat to your citadel. Reflect on your values, your intentions, and your commitment to growth. From this place of strength, you can extend compassion without being overwhelmed by your partner's behavior. As you light these lamps one by one, you'll start to notice a shift. The fog may not disappear all at once, but it will begin to thin. Small gestures of empathy and understanding create openings for deeper connection. The once impenetrable mist of arrogance gives way to moments of clarity and warmth. But what happens when you've lit your lamps and your partner still refuses to meet you halfway? This is where Stoicism's principle of control becomes essential. You cannot force someone else to change. What you can do is stay true to your own path, maintaining your light even when there's flickers. By doing so, you become a guiding presence in the relationship, showing what's possible when pride is set aside. Remember, the process of clearing the fog is not about perfection. There will be moments when your patience runs thin, when your empathy falters, when the fog feels too heavy. That's okay. What matters is that you keep trying. Each effort, no matter how small, is a step toward greater understanding and connection. Now take a moment to reflect. What fog has pride created in your relationships? How can you begin to light the lamps of empathy, gratitude, and vulnerability? These questions aren't just rhetorical, they're invitations to action. Start today with one small step and see how even the faintest light can transform the darkest fog. As the lamps grow brighter, as the fog lifts, you'll find yourself standing on solid ground again. The path ahead may still be uncertain, but it will no longer feel impossible. With each lamp you light, you reclaim your ability to navigate, to connect, and to grow. This is the power of Stoicism, not as a distant philosophy, but as a practical guide to building clarity and connection in the foggiest moments of life. The light is within you. All you have to do is let it shine. 4. Turning the tide of tempestuous relationships. Imagine a vast, turbulent sea. The waves crash violently against your vessel, and the winds howl, threatening to tear your sails apart. This is the reality of a relationship overwhelmed by arrogance. When pride fuels misunderstandings, it creates a tempest, a swirling chaos of unmet expectations, unspoken words, and mounting resentment. But here's the truth. Even in the fiercest storm, the tide can turn. And when it does, it carries the promise of calm waters and renewed direction. How often do we allow arrogance to steer the ship of our relationships? Maybe it starts small, a dismissive comment here, an assumption there. But over time, these moments build, creating a current of disconnection. Have you ever found yourself caught in this storm, wondering how things became so turbulent? Or perhaps you've been the one unknowingly raising the waves, letting your ego take the helm. The question is, how do we regain control? How do we turn the tide and guide the relationship back to harmony? Stoicism offers a profound insight. The storm is not the enemy, it's the teacher. The turbulence in your relationship is not a sign of failure, but an invitation to grow. Marcus Aurelius reminds us you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In the context of relationships, this means that while you cannot stop the winds of your partner's pride, you can adjust your sails. You can choose how to respond to the storm. Turning the tide begins with acknowledgement. It requires stepping back and seeing the storm for what it truly is. Is the conflict really about who left the dishes in the sink, or is it about feeling unappreciated? Is the tension about a missed anniversary, or is it about unmet emotional needs? When you pause to reflect, you begin to uncover the deeper currents driving the chaos. But acknowledgement is only the first step. To turn the tide, you must take action. Start by reframing the conflict. Instead of viewing it as you versus your partner, see it as both of you versus the problem. This shift in perspective transforms the dynamic from one of opposition to one of collaboration. Ask yourself, how can we navigate this storm together? What steps can we take to align our efforts rather than clashing against each other? One powerful way to take action is through communication, but not just any communication, intentional, compassionate dialogue. Imagine your words as the ropes tying your ship to the dock. Are they securing your relationship or fraying the connection further? Speak not to win the argument, but to understand and be understood. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, it means expressing them with clarity and kindness. Say what you mean, but do so without attacking or blaming. Next, consider the role of forgiveness. Holding on to anger or resentment is like adding weight to your already heavy ship. It slows progress and deepens the storm. Forgiveness, however, lightens the load. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or forgetting past hurts. It means letting go of the need for retribution and choosing instead to focus on healing. Can you forgive your partner for their arrogance? More importantly, can you forgive yourself for the ways you may have contributed to the storm? As you navigate this process, remember the importance of consistency. Turning the tide is not a one-time effort, it's a practice. Each day you must choose patience over frustration, humility over ego, and love over pride. Think of each small act of kindness, each moment of understanding, as a steadying force against the waves. Over time, these efforts accumulate, creating a momentum that shifts the relationship toward calm waters. Now picture the tide beginning to turn. The waves grow smaller, the winds less fierce. The chaos subsides and the ship steadies. This is the power of Stoicism in action, not as an abstract concept, but as a practical tool for navigating the complexities of human connection. It's about mastering your own reactions, staying true to your values, and creating space for growth and understanding. But what if your partner resists? What if they remain caught in their own storm, unwilling to adjust their sails? This is where the Stoic principle of control becomes invaluable. You cannot force someone else to change, but you can lead by example. By embodying patience, humility, and resilience, you become a lighthouse in the storm, a guiding light that invites them to follow. Take a moment to reflect. What storms have you faced in your relationships? How did you respond? And more importantly, what will you do differently moving forward? The answers to these questions hold the key to turning the tide. The process won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Each effort you make brings you closer to a relationship rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Let's make this a shared journey. If this message resonates with you, show your commitment by giving this video a like and writing number 1 in the comments. Let it be a declaration of your intention to turn the tide in your own relationships. And if you're ready to explore more insights and strategies for navigating the storms of life with stoicism and wisdom, subscribe to our channel. Join a community of people committed to growth, resilience, and meaningful connection. Together we'll continue to learn, grow, and thrive, no matter how turbulent the seas may seem. The tide is turning. The path is clearing. The choice is yours. Are you ready to sail toward calmer waters? Let's move forward together. 5. Planting seeds in fertile ground. Imagine standing in a field after a powerful storm. The soil is damp, the air heavy with the scent of rain, and the ground, though churned and scattered with debris, is rich with potential. This is the fertile ground left in the wake of conflict, a blank canvas for new beginnings. But here's the truth. The seeds you plant now will determine the future of your relationship. Will they grow into a lush, thriving garden, or will they wither in neglect and arrogance? In relationships, planting seeds means nurturing the bond through small but meaningful actions. Every word, every gesture, every choice is a seed that either strengthens or weakens the foundation. And yet, how often do we overlook this truth? How often do we let arrogance, resentment, or apathy dictate our actions, leaving the soil barren? The key to planting seeds lies in humility. Arrogance assumes the soil will take care of itself, that love will grow without effort. But humility recognizes the need for care, for consistent tending. It understands that relationships, like gardens, require attention and intention. Stoicism teaches us this balance, the ability to act with purpose while accepting the unpredictability of the outcome. Can you embrace this mindset? Can you focus on the process of planting without being consumed by the result? Start by reflecting on the seeds you've already planted. What patterns have you established in your relationship? Are they seeds of kindness, gratitude, and connection? Or have you sown seeds of criticism, neglect, and pride? This reflection isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Only by acknowledging what exists can you begin to plant something new. Planting seeds begins with small, intentional acts. Imagine expressing appreciation for your partner, not just for grand gestures, but for the little things, the way they make your coffee just right or the way they laugh at your jokes. These moments of gratitude are like drops of water nourishing the soil. They may seem insignificant, but over time they create a foundation for growth. Next, consider the power of patience. A seed doesn't sprout overnight, and neither does change in a relationship. There will be moments when the growth feels slow, when the effort feels unnoticed. But patience is the bridge between effort and reward. Ask yourself, can I commit to the process, even when the results aren't immediate? Can I trust that my efforts will bear fruit in time? Another essential seed to plant is vulnerability. This doesn't mean exposing yourself to harm or sacrificing your boundaries. It means showing your partner who you truly are, your fears, your hopes, your flaws. Vulnerability invites connection because it reveals the humanity behind the pride. It's saying, here I am, imperfect but willing, and creating space for your partner to do the same. But vulnerability requires trust, and trust is a seed that takes time to grow. How do you rebuild trust after arrogance has created distance? By showing up consistently, by keeping your promises, no matter how small, by aligning your words with your actions. Trust is not built in grand gestures, but in the quiet, everyday moments of integrity. As you plant these seeds, you may encounter resistance, not just from your partner, but from yourself. Doubts will creep in. Is this worth it? Will they notice? What if nothing changes? This is where Stoicism offers a powerful reminder. Focus on what you can control. You cannot force the soil to yield a harvest, but you can plant, water, and tend with care. The act itself is where your power lies. Think of the mighty oak. It begins as a single acorn, small and unassuming. But with the right conditions, sunlight, water, and time, it grows into something extraordinary. Your relationship holds the same potential. With humility and effort, it can withstand storms, provide shelter, and offer beauty that lasts for years. But what about the weeds? No garden grows without them, and no relationship is free from challenges. Weeds can take the form of unresolved conflicts, unspoken expectations, or old habits that no longer serve the partnership. Pulling these weeds requires honest conversation and a willingness to face discomfort. It's not enough to ignore them, hoping they'll disappear. Left unchecked, they'll choke the very growth you're working to cultivate. Clearing these weeds also means confronting arrogance when it arises both in yourself and in your partner. It means asking difficult questions. Am I holding on to pride at the expense of connection? Am I resisting change because it feels vulnerable? These moments of self-reflection are the pruning shears that keep the garden healthy. As you nurture this fertile ground, remember that the act of planting is an ongoing practice. It's not about perfection but persistence. Some seeds will grow quickly, offering immediate blooms of joy and connection. Others will take longer, their roots deepening unseen until they're strong enough to sprout. The key is to keep planting, even when the results aren't visible. Imagine walking through this garden you've cultivated. The once barren soil is now alive with color and life. Each flower, each tree, each blade of grass is a testament to the effort, care, and love you've invested. This is the power of planting seeds in fertile ground. It transforms not only the relationship but also the people within it. The question now is, what seeds will you plant today? Will you choose kindness over criticism, patience over frustration, connection over ego? The answers to these questions will shape the future of your relationship. They will determine whether it becomes a thriving garden or a neglected field. Take a moment to reflect. What is one small action you can take today to nurture your relationship? It could be a kind word, a moment of gratitude, or a simple gesture of love. These small actions, repeated over time, are the seeds that create lasting change. The soil is ready. The potential is endless. All that remains is your choice. What will you plant? And how will you tend it? The answers are in your hands, waiting to grow into something beautiful. Let the seeds of today become the foundation of a flourishing relationship tomorrow. 6. The arrogance that built the storm. Arrogance is a quiet architect. It lays its foundation subtly, brick by brittle brick, until one day you find yourself standing in the shadow of a towering storm. But here's the truth. The storm wasn't born overnight. It was built piece by piece through dismissive words, unspoken assumptions, and the unchecked belief that one's perspective is superior to all others. How often do we unknowingly contribute to this structure, blind to the consequences of our own pride? It's easy to think of arrogance as loud and obvious, but more often it's insidious. It hides in the small moments: the refusal to listen during a disagreement, the dismissal of a partner's feelings as overreacting, the belief that our way is the only right way. These seemingly minor acts accumulate, creating a storm so fierce that it threatens to dismantle the very foundation of the relationship. But let's pause and reflect. When was the last time you let pride dictate your actions? Maybe you held on to being right in an argument, even when it came at the cost of connection. Or perhaps you dismissed your partner's concerns, thinking they'll get over it. These moments may feel insignificant in the moment, but collectively they feed the storm, creating a cycle of discontent and distance. Stoicism offers a profound perspective here. The root of arrogance is often fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of vulnerability, fear of losing control. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." This wisdom challenges us to see arrogance not as strength, but as a mask for insecurity. Can you unmask your own pride and face the vulnerability beneath it? Let's be honest, this isn't easy. Admitting to arrogance requires humility, and humility often feels like defeat. But in reality, it's the opposite. Humility is the foundation of growth, the first step toward dismantling the storm. When you let go of the need to be right, you create space for understanding. When you release the grip of pride, you invite connection. The question is, are you willing to trade ego for empathy? Can you prioritize the relationship over the need to win? Consider this. The storm of arrogance often blinds us to the reality of our partner's humanity. We see them not as someone with their own fears and desires, but as an adversary to be conquered. But Stoicism teaches us that we are disturbed not by things, but by the view we take of them. How are you viewing your partner? Are you seeing them through the lens of judgment or through the lens of compassion? Imagine the storm as a test, an opportunity to grow. Each gust of wind, each crash of thunder is a chance to examine your own reactions. Are you responding with patience and grace, or are you letting pride fuel the chaos? This self-reflection is the essence of Stoic practice. It's not about suppressing emotion, but mastering it, using it as a tool for insight and connection. So, how do you dismantle the storm? How do you unbuild what arrogance has created? Start by acknowledging your role. This doesn't mean taking all the blame or excusing harmful behavior. It means recognizing where your pride has contributed to the tension. Ask yourself, where have I been inflexible? Where have I prioritized my own perspective over understanding? These questions are not about guilt, they're about growth. Next, practice intentional humility. This doesn't mean diminishing yourself or accepting disrespect. It means showing up with curiosity instead of judgment. When your partner speaks, listen not to respond, but to understand. When conflict arises, resist the urge to defend your ego. Instead, ask, what can I learn from this? These small shifts in perspective have the power to transform even the most turbulent relationships. But what if your partner remains caught in their own storm of arrogance? What if they refuse to meet you halfway? This is where Stoicism's principle of control becomes essential. You cannot force someone else to change, but you can control how you show up. By embodying patience, kindness, and resilience, you set a powerful example. Your actions become a guiding force, inviting them to do the same. Take a moment to visualize the storm clearing. The clouds part, the winds calm, and the air feels fresh and renewed. This isn't just a metaphor, it's the potential waiting on the other side of pride. The process won't happen overnight, but with consistency and intention, the storm can be unbuilt. The cracks in the relationship can become openings for light to shine through. Now it's time to act. Reflect on your own relationships. Where has arrogance built a storm? What steps can you take to dismantle it? The answers to these questions hold the key to transformation. And as you take these steps, remember that every effort, no matter how small, brings you closer to clarity and connection. If this message resonates with you, if you feel the call to unmask arrogance and rebuild stronger, let's make it a shared commitment. Show your dedication by liking this video and commenting #1 below. Your engagement not only strengthens your resolve, but also inspires others to join this journey of growth and understanding. Finally, don't let this be the end of the conversation. Subscribe to our channel and become part of a community dedicated to navigating relationships with stoicism and wisdom. Together we'll weather the storms, dismantle the arrogance, and build connections rooted in respect, empathy, and love. The storm isn't the end, it's the beginning of something new. Are you ready to clear the skies? Let's continue this journey together. 7. Sailing against the winds of pride. Pride can feel like a strong wind at your back, powerful, uplifting, even necessary at times. But in the context of relationships, unchecked pride is rarely a tailwind. More often it becomes a force working against you, disrupting your course and pulling you further from connection. Pride whispers that you must defend your position at all costs, that yielding is weakness, that admitting fault is surrender. But ask yourself, what are you truly winning when pride takes the helm, and at what cost? Picture a ship trying to sail directly into a powerful wind. No matter how hard the crew works, the resistance is relentless, halting their progress and draining their energy. In a relationship, pride creates the same effect. It turns conversations into battles, connection into competition. Each person digs their heels in, convinced that their perspective must prevail. And yet, neither moves forward. How often have you found yourself in this cycle? How often has pride kept you stuck, even when the way forward required only a moment of humility? Stoicism offers a powerful reminder here. The strongest relationships are not built on dominance, but on resilience and mutual respect. Marcus Aurelius writes, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, choose humility when pride tempts you to escalate. Respond with grace, not retaliation. This is not weakness, it is strength. A strength that turns the winds of pride into opportunities for growth. To sail against the winds of pride, you must first understand its origins. Pride often stems from insecurity, from a fear of being diminished or unseen. When we feel threatened, pride steps in as a defense mechanism, shielding us from vulnerability. But what does this shield cost? By refusing to bend, we risk breaking the very bonds we seek to protect. Are you willing to examine the fears beneath your pride? Can you trade defensiveness for curiosity? Consider this. In the natural world, the reed survives the storm not by resisting the wind, but by bending with it. The oak, rigid and unyielding, often falls. Relationships mirror this dynamic. Rigidity fueled by pride leads to fractures, while flexibility rooted in humility fosters resilience. Ask yourself, are you the oak or the reed? Are you holding so tightly to your perspective that you've lost sight of the shared goals of the relationship? Turning pride into humility requires deliberate action. Start by pausing in moments of tension. When you feel the winds of pride rising, when the urge to defend, attack, or prove yourself takes hold, pause. Ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve? Will this action bring us closer or push us further apart? This simple pause can be transformative, creating space for intentionality and self-awareness. Next, practice seeing the situation from your partner's perspective. This doesn't mean abandoning your own feelings or pretending their behavior is justified. It means recognizing their humanity, their fears, their frustrations, their intentions. Imagine standing in their shoes, seeing the world as they do. What might they be feeling? What needs are they trying to express, even if poorly? This act of empathy can soften the winds of pride, replacing defensiveness with connection. Another powerful tool is to embrace vulnerability. Pride thrives on the illusion of invulnerability, the belief that showing weakness diminishes your worth. But vulnerability is not weakness, it's the foundation of intimacy. By expressing your fears, your hopes, and your uncertainties, you invite your partner to do the same. You create a space where connection can flourish, even in the face of conflict. But vulnerability requires trust, and trust can be fragile in the presence of pride. This is where Stoicism provides guidance. Focus on what you can control. You cannot force your partner to meet vulnerability with understanding, but you can show up consistently with integrity and patience. Each act of honesty, each moment of openness, strengthens the fabric of trust, even if progress feels slow. As you navigate these winds, remember the importance of humility in action. Humility is not about self-diminishment or passivity. It's about showing respect for both yourself and your partner. It's about acknowledging when you're wrong, but also standing firm in your values when necessary. Humility balances strength with grace, allowing you to sail against pride without losing your way. Imagine the winds beginning to shift. What once felt like resistance now feels like momentum propelling you forward. This is the power of humility. It transforms challenges into opportunities, disconnection into deeper understanding. The journey may not be smooth, but each step forward brings you closer to a partnership built on mutual respect and resilience. Take a moment to reflect. How has pride shaped your relationships? Where has it created resistance? And how can you navigate these winds with humility and intention? These questions are not easy, but they hold the key to meaningful growth. The act of sailing against pride requires courage, but the rewards, a stronger, more connected relationship, are worth the effort. The winds of pride will always be there, tempting you to stand rigid and unyielding. But you have a choice. You can fight against them, exhausting yourself and your partner, or you can learn to navigate with grace, turning the resistance into a force for growth. The decision is yours, and the journey begins with a single step. As you take that step, remember that every small effort counts. Each moment of humility, each act of understanding is a compass guiding you toward deeper connection and shared purpose. The winds may blow, but you hold the power to steer the ship. And in the process, you discover not just the strength of your relationship, but the strength within yourself. 8. Bridging the gap over troubled waters. Picture a vast river running between two shores. On one side stands you, on the other your partner, and between you lies a churning, restless current fueled by misunderstanding and pride. The waters are turbulent, but not impossible to cross. The question is, will you build a bridge, or will you let the distance grow wider? Arrogance often erodes the banks of connection, creating gaps where once there was closeness. It whispers, "It's not your job to fix this," or "They should apologize first." But Stoicism challenges this narrative, reminding us that the strength of a relationship lies not in waiting for the other to act, but in taking responsibility for our own role in the disconnection. Can you be the one to lay the first stone? Building a bridge requires intention. It starts with understanding that a gap in a relationship is not a failure, it's a challenge. As Seneca once said, difficulty strengthens the mind as labor does the body. Every disagreement, every misunderstanding is an opportunity to strengthen the bond. But it's not enough to see the gap, you must actively work to close it. What stones will you lay today to bring you closer to your partner? The first stone is humility. Acknowledging your own role in the conflict doesn't mean taking all the blame. It means recognizing where your actions or reactions may have contributed to the divide. Ask yourself, have I prioritized being right over being kind? Have I let pride dictate my words and actions? This kind of introspection is not easy, but it's essential for building a strong foundation. The second stone is empathy. True connection comes from understanding your partner's perspective, even when it feels uncomfortable. Imagine standing on their shore, seeing the river from their side. What might they be feeling? What fears or needs are driving their actions? Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with everything your partner says or does. It means honoring their humanity. Can you cross the gap with compassion instead of judgment? Next comes communication, the plank that bridges the stones. But not just any communication, intentional, open-hearted dialogue. This means speaking not to win, but to connect. Replace phrases like, "You always do this," with questions like, "How can we work through this together?" Replace accusations with curiosity. This shift in tone transforms the bridge from a precarious crossing to a sturdy path. But even the strongest bridges need maintenance. Over time, unresolved issues and lingering resentments can weaken the structure. This is why forgiveness is a crucial stone in the bridge. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harm. It means choosing to let go of the weight of anger and resentment. By releasing this weight, you free yourself to move forward with clarity and strength. As you build this bridge, you may face resistance not just from your partner, but from within yourself. Pride may whisper, "Why should I be the one to take the first step?" But Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in mastery over our own emotions, not in controlling others. When you choose to lay the first stone, you demonstrate courage and resilience. You show that the relationship matters more than the gap that separates you. Imagine standing on this bridge, meeting your partner in the middle. The river below still churns, but it no longer feels insurmountable. The distance has been replaced with connection, the chaos with calm. This is the power of building a bridge, not just to repair what's been broken, but to create something stronger than before. The act of bridging the gap is not a one-time effort, it's an ongoing practice. Relationships, like bridges, require care and attention to stay strong. Each moment of understanding, each gesture of kindness, adds to the structure. Over time, these small acts create a bond that can withstand even the fiercest storms. Now reflect. What gaps exist in your relationships? What steps can you take today to start building a bridge? The answers to these questions are the first stones in your path toward deeper connection. And remember, the process is not about perfection, it's about progress. Every effort, no matter how small, brings you closer to the other side. If this resonates with you, let's make a commitment together. Show your dedication by liking this video and writing number 1 in the comments below. Your engagement not only reflects your resolve but inspires others to take their own steps toward connection. Finally, subscribe to this channel and join a community dedicated to navigating relationships with wisdom and stoicism. Together, we'll continue to explore the tools and insights needed to bridge gaps, calm storms, and build partnerships rooted in respect and resilience. Every storm carries a lesson. Every conflict, every misunderstanding, and every moment of disconnection holds the potential for growth. The question is not whether the storm will come. It always does. But whether you'll navigate it with wisdom or let it consume you. Relationships are not about avoiding the winds of pride or the currents of conflict. They're about learning to steer through them with intention and grace. What we've explored together is not just a strategy for repairing relationships, but a framework for living with stoicism at the heart of your connections. It's about anchoring yourself in patience when the seas grow rough, planting seeds of kindness and gratitude in fertile ground, and building bridges when gaps threaten to pull you apart. This journey requires effort, reflection, and a commitment to growth, not just for your relationship, but for yourself. As you move forward, remember that no relationship is perfect, and no storm is without its challenges. But perfection isn't the goal. The goal is resilience, mutual respect, and the courage to face the storms together. With each step you take, whether it's lighting a lamp in the fog, turning the tide of pride, or laying the first stone of a bridge, you bring yourself closer to a relationship that can weather anything. Now ask yourself, what will you do with the tools you've gained? How will you navigate the next storm? The answers to these questions are yours to shape. The power lies not in waiting for change, but in creating it. If this journey resonates with you, show your commitment by taking action. Like this video and share your reflections in the comments. Write "I rise stronger from the storms we weather together" as a declaration of your resolve. Let it be a testament to your strength and your dedication to growth. And don't stop here. Subscribe to our channel to continue this exploration of relationships, stoicism, and personal transformation. Together, we'll face the storms, clear the fog, and build the connections that bring meaning and joy to our lives. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May the lessons of stoicism guide you. May your relationships grow stronger, and may you always find calm after the storm. Until next time, take care, and let's keep navigating this path together.